welcome to Kulick Riff Magazine. We can be found on the web at www.kulickriff.com. My name is Jason J. Rock Houston. Today we're speaking with singer Jacob Kulick from the band Kulick. How are you doing today, Jacob?
I am good. How are you?
Now, I was curious, Jacob. Do you know you're not the only famous musician with that last name?
Yes, I am, and I always lie and tell everybody that Bruce Kulick's my father and member of Kiss, but no, I'm not related to him. However, he follows me on Twitter, so that's something.
That's interesting. Well, yeah, I am a huge Kiss fan myself, but anyways, I just thought that was kind of interesting. But today, your latest album dropped, which is called "Everyone I Know Will Die," and I got to tell people. I urge people to go out and check it out because the whole thing, just from top to bottom, you get 7 songs on here. To me, just great little pop gems, if you will. To me, I mean, great little ear candy. That's what I like to call it.
Well, thank you. Ear candy is what I like to make ear candy. I have a very big sweet tooth for ear candy.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I like trying to make pop melodies as close to pop as I can, but without it being so polished. Yeah, because
here's an interesting thing. Telling you a little bit about myself. I'm a guy that typically listens to hard rock and metal, and I got appreciation for other stuff, even like the Eagles and Tom Petty. Because to me, a good song is a good song. It doesn't have to be any particular type of music. If it's a good song, that's. And you got, like I said, a whole album's worth of great tunes. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Jacob. I mean, how long have you been, making music?
Yeah, sure. So I basically started playing guitar. Well, I actually started with drums when I was really young, and then I started playing acoustic and writing songs at 13. But my actual professional career started with RCA Records as a solo artist, probably, I think it's 2017 or 2018. And I've been going at it ever since. I've been on different labels, different publishers, all that. So I've really been grinding at it, and now I'm still doing the thing and still having fun doing it and still finding purpose and therapeutic relief in it. So RCA, for your first record deal, that's pretty impressive. I mean, how did you hook up with those guys? Was it a matter of you sending them some of your material, a demo tape, or did somebody from the label approach you? Yeah, so it's actually a funny story. I'll try to make it the shorter version, but basically I was working as a broadcast engineer for CBS Radio in New York.
Wow.
And somebody who I met there was an artist, and she claimed to know the executive vice president of RCA, who was Joe Ricotelli at the time. And every time I kept saying, like, let's get a meeting with him, she would be like, oh, I can't make it into the city. Oh, we were supposed to meet with him today. And she kept flaking out. So I actually just guessed his email, which was his first and last name with a period in between it.
Oh,
RCA
wow.
Records, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
And I was in the outskirts of New Jersey, about a half hour away from New York City, and I just emailed him and said, hey, I was supposed to meet you with this girl today, but she, flaked out. Are you still available? I'm in New York. So I lied. I emailed. I went for a run. I came back from my run, and I looked at my email, and he said, I'm free in like 20 minutes, bring music. So I quickly drove to New York, double parked, got a parking ticket, ran in, and played the music, and that was the start of our relationship.
I mean that what a story. I mean just in that stuff. I bet you there's a song there, somewhere.
Yeah, it's a good point. I never thought about making it that's been the start of my career. So it's something crazy. It's certain things lining up. There's some luck, there's some talent, but I mean that still wasn't like it. Like I played the music for a year. I kept trying to get meetings with him every single month. I was persistent,
yeah.
And then he eventually opened up his own imprint label called Golden Retriever Records, and I signed to that, which was a subset of RCA Records. So it was that was my quote unquote big break. That started me.
Oh, you were in the RCA family, and that's what's important. It's a great story, and I was curious. So, when you first started playing music, did you start out as a guitar player? Did you start out singing and writing songs? What's your story there?
Yeah, I actually started with drums when I was really young. I have a song out called "The Way I Am," and the music video for that is a bunch of footage of me as a kid, and I don't know how old I was in those videos, but it's pretty young. I started with drums, and I was actually born half deaf, so I'm sure starting with drums didn't help that, because I did not play with hearing protection.
Wow.
But yeah, so I started with that, and then I started playing acoustic guitar around 13 years old, and I started writing songs then, because that was when I needed an outlet to kind of write about what I was going through. I didn't really have anything else to write about earlier than that. I have some songs that I wrote earlier, but they're very juvenile, and I would regret mentioning any of the lyrics of any of those songs, because they were very very beginner.
Yeah, well, on the new album that drops today, one thing I noticed, and I think that's what makes these such great songs, is they're really kind of personal songs. I can tell. We'll go down the list of the songs here, and people see what I'm talking about. But I can tell stuff. It's all written kind of about you. I mean, okay, let's go down. Number 1, necessities. The people I know don't like me. For once in my life, all I see is red. Don't think about me. Time to go. And then. Yeah, and everyone I know will die. Again, kind of from your perspective, but again, I think that's what makes these such great songs. They're like, each song's kind of, it sounds like when I listen to this, like a page out of your own life.
Yeah, I've been trying to work with that too, because I notice a lot of times I write and my lyrics are always I put the word I in it a lot, and I'm trying to do that less and less, but I find that I just pull from my own personal experiences, and a lot of the times, these albums, I'm not trying to like really come up with an album. I'm just writing songs.
Yeah.
You put this collection together, and next thing you know, you have that chapter of your life and whatever you went through in that chapter. So if someone went through something similar, they're going to really resonate with it. And I think if you're organic, there's 2 routes to go, in my opinion. You can either write very organic, transparent lyrics and make that, affect people, or you can go the route where you do, 6 or 7 co-writers and make something so catchy and irresistible that even if it's about nothing, you're going to love the song. And there's nothing wrong with either route. I just definitely went, the former.
But that's not a bad thing. I mean, maybe you say like, oh, I notice I do that a lot, but again, I think that's when people really that are really truly talented songwriters. That's what makes them such great songwriters. They're able to kind of like write out of like a page out of your life, or your something you've actually experienced, as opposed to maybe a friend of yours telling you something they went through, and you write a song about what your friend went through. I think that's why when you sing these songs, because they're things you've actually lived through, you're able to kind of sing it that much more from the heart,
Yeah, absolutely. And I went through enough last year that I didn't need to pull from anywhere else to write about. I go through enough mentally to definitely have content.
In fact, I gotta tell you, one of my favorite tracks on the album is the title track, "Everyone I Know Will Die." I mean, it's kind of funny because that's something, even myself, I've kind of always thought about, I guess like a lot of people, one of my biggest fears is the fear that I'm going to one day die, not knowing how, or, you always got that question, or even just the people around you that, the older we get, people start dropping, and it's like, oh, this person's gone, and this person's gone. So that's something that I can kind of relate to. I was reading in the press release about the new album that you were kind of talking about that, the fact that death is kind of something that you've always kind of, kind of been thinking about.
Yeah, so I wanted to write a song that was satirical a little bit, because you can't write something that's so serious like this and have people, take it. It would be so heavy. So
yeah.
I wanted it to be a little bit, on the satirical side, but at the end of the day, I think about it a lot, and I'm not sure if like what is normal or average for the amount of for the amount for someone to think about, but I just think it's something that I find it very interesting to talk about with other people and see their perspective on it, because a lot of times people, they just start talking about death and they say the things you're supposed to, like, it's gonna happen, or it'll be okay, I just need to make sure I do what I want to do on Earth. But like once you actually talk about it, you get down into it of like, is it gonna be all right? And is that how you actually feel, or is that just what your subconscious tells you to say? Because that's what everyone just says. Like I think it's a conversation that no one really talks about or thinks about until there's something really tragic happening, and then once that tragedy passes, you're back to not trying to think about it again. And I don't know the balance of healthy and unhealthy of how much to think about it, but I think the amount that the average person talks about it or thinks about it is so low. So I wanted to just bring that to the surface. And like I said, so much happened with me in the past year with like that was tragedy in my mind that it just made me think about it a lot. And it made me think about the first time I ever had a panic attack. I was like 13 years old, and it was when I was talking about some type of thing about a grandparent about to die or something, and I was like, it shook me, and I was like, why are we doing all these other all these other distracting things instead of like trying to, discuss this huge elephant in the room?
Yeah,
so that was kind of why I wanted to start talking about that in the song.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting because, with all this COVID stuff, a lot more people are thinking about this stuff a lot more than they used to. I mean, like I was in the bank the other day, and some just random lady walks in the bank and walks up to the security guard to let him know, I just want to let you know, I'm wearing my mask. I'm a good person. And he's like, well, thank you, ma'am, for feeling the need to let me know that,
Yeah, I don't comment too much on it because I honestly think no one knows a fucking thing. But I do think that the timing of what I was writing about for this record and COVID is that's interesting. And I do get that. I get that asked to me a lot about, is this about the COVID thing because you were thinking about death? And honestly, it didn't have anything to do with COVID. It was just, it was not COVID related.
But it's kind of interesting because I was reading it in your press release, and I kind of got the feeling it's something you've dealt with all your life. But when you think all the stuff we've gone in the last 2.5 years with COVID and all the lockdowns and stuff, you do have all these people that thinking about stuff they never thought about before, and they did. They weren't as vocal. I mean, you got people going to the extreme of, hey, if you go outside and you're not wearing a mask, you're a murderer. I mean, just
I think that people had time to sit down, and they haven't been alone with themselves in such a long time. And I think there's two routes it can still go, but like one would be, you learn how to spend some time alone with yourself and your inner voice, and you learn how to work through that, and you don't panic. And the other way is to have really poor mental health, and sadly I think a lot of the country has gone the way of poor mental health, and I'm hoping that, I hope we don't just get back to it and everyone just forgets about it. Like I hope there's some kind of growth with this instead of just, let's just get back to it, because there's something to be said about being able to spend time with your own thoughts and with those types of realizations, with things, what really matters, what doesn't really matter. Like I sure, like during especially the first couple of months of COVID, I was definitely thinking about and processing different things of what matters to me and what doesn't. And the same thing with the past year, with having to be in such strange health situations with my partner, what's important? Is it important for me to make a TikTok right now, or is it important to make sure that my partner's health is good?
And another song I really dig on here is the one, The People I Know Don't Like Me. I mean, I think that's a sentiment a lot of us have kind of lived through, where you think maybe everybody's picking on you, or everybody doesn't really like you, or this guy's a jerk and this guy's a jerk. But what's this song about to you?
That's the outlier of the record for me, because that's the only one that doesn't really pertain to death. And I was basically on the side. I helped my brother with his construction company, and that summer I was roofing, and I was working in this town that reminded me of my hometown. And I was like, man, we are not the same. Like I am not whatever this is. And I remember thinking that when I was growing up in my hometown of like, I'm just not like the people I know, and the people I know, they don't like who I am. They don't like what I am. I'm very different. So the whole thing is just about the type of person who stays in their hometown their whole life and doesn't ever find the perspective. And it's not really their fault because they never really ventured out, so they don't know what they're missing. But it's totally just the whole small town mentality.
Yeah, I think we've all had that experience or thought of people not liking us. But let me ask you, as a musician and a songwriter, has your music like helped bring you closer to people? Where, I mean, that's got to be a great feeling too when somebody comes up to you and says, man, I just checked out your latest single and I'm digging it, and this song means this to me.
Yeah, what's amazing to me is the different types of people. So I still feel very much like a loner, and I think that's the curse of being an artist no matter what.
Oh, yeah.
But the different types of people that come up to me or message me and say, like I have a song, Don't Think About Me, on the record. That's a heartbreak song. And like someone messaged me and was like, man, I just went through a breakup. This really helped me. And then, Everyone I Know Will Die. Somebody, that could be any age. A lot of times that's the older range, like 40 and up, of like, wow, this song really resonated with me. The people I know don't like me is more of a younger age. So it's really interesting to me, the different types of people and how they use it, and that is the biggest. If the main positive for me making music is not for me just as self-therapy, it's getting other people to feel therapeutic relief through it. Because
that's the whole thing, I would think, as a songwriter and a musician, when other people checking your music out and they're loving it. I mean, what you wrote these songs about, but you might have somebody, come up to you and say, oh, I heard that song, Don't Think About Me, and it made me think of, my father just passed away or something, and you're like, well, that's not what the song's about, but man, if it means that to you, that's great,
Exactly, and I'm such an empath that is what makes me so emotional about making music. Like this morning, like I'm going to sound like a crazy person, but I was running on the treadmill listening to the record because it just came out.
Yeah.
And I read all these messages before I got to the gym, like of all these people saying this one's my favorite because of this. And I'm just thinking of all these different lives and perspectives and all the hurt and sadness and things that people go through, and that they use this song. And I thank you so much for making this song. It made me feel whatever it made them feel. Like that's not even what's important to me. It's just the fact that they're getting something out of it is so it is I can't put it into words. It's literally just I can't appreciate it more. I can't have any more gratitude for it.
Yeah, and what's beautiful about the song Don't Think About Me to me, I mean, it's a really nice kind of ballady type of song, but it's kind of like you said, it's almost like a breakup song, and you're kind of telling that, it's almost like somebody's told you maybe, or you've told somebody even maybe in your life, like, oh, it's that person that I really hate you. I can't stand you. You just drive me crazy, but to the point that, I can't get you out of my mind. Every thought is about you. Everything I did today, I'm thinking about you. And but yet it's not an angry song. It's got that angst, but it's you're saying it in kind of it's thinking about me, right?
Yeah, it's interesting because some people take it that way, and then other people take it the other way of like, this is like a closure song of like, I really just hope you just don't think about me and that you moved on. I hope that you just don't think about me anymore because it wouldn't do you any good, kind of thing. So it's interesting. People take that song in different ways. I will not reveal which way I take it.
Oh yeah. That's a beautiful.
Doesn't matter.
That's a beautiful thing about it. I mean, the fact that people can take it one of two ways.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the other song I really dig is Necessities. That's the song that opens up the whole thing. I mean, what's kind of what are those necessary things to you in life that like if you didn't have them, just life wouldn't be worth living?
That song was totally basically what we were talking about earlier about, I was sitting around, not even sitting around, just so many serious things were happening to me, and I was like, I just want to take everything I own and throw it in the dumpster and light it on fire. Like nothing matters, and I just want to figure out what I need, like what are my necessities. So the whole entire song was just basically about being completely broken down and in turmoil, and then just wanting to get rid of every single thing that I've ever owned because none of this matters, and I want to restart. And that was basically the meaning of that song.
And you know, it's and like you like we say at the top interview, the band or project goes by the name of Kulick, which is your last name. And I was curious, so you mentioned that starting out on the drums, you play the guitar. Do you do all the instruments on here, or do you have other people playing some of the tracks?
Yeah, so I would say it was probably 50-50 for this record because, like I said, my partner was in and out of the hospital for the whole time of creation, and I needed to make an album. So I have a friend who my partner actually introduced me to named Kevin Eisenman, and he produced the whole record with me. So I would write the songs, demo it out, send it to him, and then he would polish it up a little bit, re-record some guitars, add some of his stuff, send it back to me, and then I would finish it, and then we would send it to get mixed and mastered. So, like, it was between me and Kevin for almost the entire song, production-wise, and then songwriting-wise, it was myself, my partner, April Rose Gabrielli, Kevin Eisenman, and then there was one other writer, Eric Paquette, who was only for one of the songs. So most of them were me, Kevin, or me, Kevin, and April.
Yeah. And what's interesting is some of the best musicians started out doing other, like, you may not even realize, but Steven Tyler, for example, from Aerosmith, Janie Lane, lead singer from Aerosmith and Warrant, these guys started out as drummers, and then they eventually became the great frontmen and songwriters that we know them, to be today. I'd imagine the fact that you can play all these different instruments and you're a great lead singer, it kind of makes you a more rounded musician.
Yeah, I found that that's actually what makes a producer. Like, the more I thought about it this year, I'm totally a producer. Because I also consider myself a producer player. I feel like I'm well-rounded on the guitar, especially the acoustic. But everything else, I'm a producer player, which means basically I know how to play enough piano to record it and get it in a song. I know how to play enough bass. I know how to play, I can do all of the things, and that makes me a producer. So I don't know if I'd go on stage and perform as a piano player with another band. I don't think I'm that good, but definitely as a producer.
So let's talk about live performance now. Have you done any live shows? And when you do you have like a backing band with you?
Yeah, so we actually just went on tour with the Spill Canvas back in November, I believe it was. It was a little, not little, but it was an East Coast tour for about 3 weeks. And when we perform, I go out with a band. Right now, I'm not entirely sure what I will do next, but what I typically do is it's me, and then April Rose Gabrielli plays the keys, and then I have a drummer. Right now, Keith Genscher is that drummer, and then whoever else I kind of want to come if they're able to come. So last tour, we had Kevin Eisenman come and play guitar. I had Nick also come and play bass. Sometimes Jerome Betts plays bass. So we kind of just have like a floating band, if you will.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. And like, as far as recording this stuff, do you have a home studio where you do it all?
Yeah, so I'm currently in Central PA, and I have a 2-bedroom apartment. The smaller bedroom is our bedroom, which is a king-size bed, which barely fits in the room, and then the bigger bedroom is the recording studio. Okay. And that's where I produce all the songs. I also produce April Rose Gabrielli's music, and we're working with a bunch of other artists too. Like, I produce other artists and their albums and their singles as well here in the studio. And
as far as the other artists you produce, I was curious, how do you find these other artists? Most of them reach out to you, or do you find them and reach out to them?
Yeah, a mixture of ways. Sometimes they reach out on Instagram and just kind of, talk music, and then I offer the services. Sometimes my partner, the same thing happens with her. Sometimes she teaches, vocal lessons to somebody, and then they want to record. The band that I'm working with right now, Awakening Autumn, we're working on their album. They were Kulick fans, actually. Wow. And I mentioned to them that I do music, and we did some that I do music production for other bands, and we did a couple Zoom calls, and we're currently working on that where they kind of send me stems and I produce stuff. But it always varies. Sometimes the artist flies in here and stays for a week, and we record. Like we also recorded an artist called Terrell and Rye. So there's a multitude of ways, but by word of mouth so far has been good as well.
You know, another interesting thing I'm talking to you today, you know, is learning about kind of fact that you're born partly deaf, and you know, again, another person I think of when I hear that story is like the fact that Paul Stanley, for years people didn't know that he was born kind of with a deformed ear, and you know, he just recently let that out of the bag, you know, a couple of years ago. And what's interesting is he's a guy that I guess that's something all his life he kind of secretly dealt with. He recently kind of talked about this in a book he put out, and he was talking about the fact, you know, on stage, he get dressed up in the Kiss makeup, and he'd do his thing on stage, and he'd be the ultimate rock star. But he says for years, you know, when Kiss was first starting out, he says, you know, when I was off stage and I was getting ready to go hit the stage, he's like, I really didn't have that confidence. But you know, you see a guy like that perform and reveal something like that, and you're like, man, he comes across as a cocky rock star, and you never know, but he lacked that confidence, you know, for a certain number of years.
Yeah, definitely before you go on stage too. That's like the main part in which that could happen. But honestly, I think like 50 to 60% is just, you know, going out and doing the damn thing. The other 40% you can figure out while you're out there. Yeah,
and you know, interesting thing too about hearing your story and everything you kind of dealt with, you know, throughout your life. You know, kind of the anxiety and the stress and all the tragedies you kind of suffered through. I mean, in listening to the, you know, songs off the new album that came out today, I mean, to me, they're all great little pop tunes. And the fact that kind of some of these songs, you know, were kind of based on maybe not the happiest experience, you'd never know that by listening to them because they're such happy-sounding tunes. But I think that's what makes it such a great album, you know? It's not a downer to the listener.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I have to frame it that way, or else I would just be severely depressed. And I always try to figure out, is that because I was born half deaf, that I'm more empathic and I'm more introverted and I feel these things more? I'm not sure, but I just know that when you're going through something bad or something difficult, feeling bad for yourself doesn't help anything. It never has. For me, it has not. And I feel like I'm an introverted optimist. So it's like I'm to myself, but I'm trying to just completely be optimistic about the situation no matter what, because I don't know how else you can look at it and for it to be positive.
But I mean, like I said, I'm typically a guy listening to hard rock, metal. I mean, but that's why, like, even a band like Poison always spoke to me. I mean, because, you know, a song like Nothing But a Good Time, I mean, I'd much rather be hearing something like that than, say, Kurt Cobain telling me how depressed he is. You know, that's
yeah, I know what you mean.
That's one of those things I never got about all those grunge bands is all of a sudden these people start writing these songs that aren't as happy-go. You know, they're not, you know, they're not those type of songs. And kind of you're listening to them and, like, and I'm actually being brought down. Like, oh, wow, this is I'm being brought down. It's not what I had in mind, you know?
Right. And I'm not trying to bring anybody down or bring them up. I'm just trying to be honest. So with life, there's balance, and a lot of the times, there's down moments, and then there's moments to get you through it. And a lot of times my songs are structured where the verses I'm down, the choruses, but I'll get through. The verses I'm down, but the choruses I'll get through. And that's my life motto. So I think that's how it comes out a lot. And I honestly just love pop music too. So, and you know, I don't want to make songs that, you know, I don't write music because I feel like dancing. So I'm not going to make dance tunes.
Yeah, I get you.
I'm not going to make songs that, you know, you want to freaking hurt yourself to either. So I would like to find a nice little middle ground. In fact, I kind of like to ask you kind of about who are some of your influences, because, you know, again, in listening to these songs here, they're on the new album, you know, typically you think, oh, you know, you listen to something, oh, this guy sounds like he grew up on Aerosmith or, you know, the Beatles or something, but it's really, you really got your own unique sound, and that's kind of hard to do. I appreciate that. I think it's because I've just had so many different influences. Like Tom Petty has always been my biggest influence, and I'm not just saying that because he died recently.
No.
He's been my absolute biggest influence. And I think the reason you like my music, you personally, is because a lot of my influences are the heavy metal. I love A Day to Remember. I love Born of Osiris.
Yeah.
I love the really heavy stuff, and it's just not something I ever wanted to perform, so I never went that far with it. And I grew up on a bunch of other. I mean, the Eagles. I completely listen to the Eagles a lot. Billy Joel. Those classics. But I also, the bug bit me very hard when NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, Britney Spears music came out. I loved that music, and I spent hours in headphones pressing them against my ears, volume on 10, trying to hear what they do and envisioning how I can get my voice to sound like that and how they got it to sound like that. So the combination of, that pop music, the old classics, and then the metal, that's what you're hearing completely melded in the one.
Well, even this hard rock guy and metal guy here you're talking to, I mean, two bands you just mentioned, Tom Petty and the Eagles, those great songwriters. You listen to any of those tunes they put out, still being played on the radio, all these years later.
And also, like for instance, I love Tom Petty because he writes songs where you're already into the second verse without even noticing. You're like, how did he do a verse and a chorus already? He's so good at pop songs, so I like taking that. And then songs like A Day to Remember type songs, they're so angsty but also personal, so I try to combine all of that.
Yeah, so Jacob, I was curious, so the album just dropped today now. Is it available only digitally? Can people get actual CDs? What's the thing there?
So it's available digitally, obviously, and then I have physical CDs. I only ordered a run of a very small amount, so they're already almost gone, but you can go to my website. It's kulickofficial.com, and then there's a merch tab there. It's a Shopify link, and the only thing on that link so far is the pre-order for the physical CDs. They didn't get to my house yet, but once they do.
And you want to let people know where they can find you online?
Sure, every single handle is at KULICK official. That's Kulick official, and that's for Instagram, which is where I'm at mostly. Facebook, TikTok. I'm trying to make some TikToks. I'm getting around to that, and YouTube, and everywhere else that you can find me, it is at Kulick official.
And what do you think about YouTube? That's pretty cool in the sense that anybody these days can pretty much get their music video or their music out there. I mean, back in the day, it was a real job. You'd have to even to get a video played on MTV, you'd have to really kind of, have your people kind of grease the hands just to get your stuff played.
It's an interesting world right now because that's how it used to be for sure, and now it just moved different platforms. Now it's more, you're spending your money and your marketing on the social media apps for digital campaigns on, like I said, TikTok, Instagram, and that's kind of how you get your video seen. So now the problem's not, can I get a music video out there? It's anybody can do it now. How can I make this stand out in a world that is so, oversaturated kind of thing? But I love the freedom to be able to do that, and music videos have always been, that's always a nice asset to have. And
do you have any videos planned for the album that just came out today?
Well, I have a brand new music video for the song Everyone I Know Will Die, which is the title track off of the album Everyone I Know Will Die. That just came out, so definitely check that out. I have a video out for Time to Go, and I have a lyric video out for The People I Know Don't Like Me, and I believe I will have one more music video coming out in a little bit, but I'm not entirely sure if I can say it yet, but yes, there will be a
And again, I know we're getting a little ahead of ourselves, but because the new album just literally dropped today, but are we already thinking about the next one?
Yes. Always thinking about the next one. It takes so long to get it to completion that it is I have a bank of songs that I don't know if I'm going to visit them or I'm just going to start new. I don't know if I want to stay on the complete all pop rock sound. I'm not positive what I want to do yet, but by the time we get everything finished, I'm hoping to have a record done by the end of this year. So it's already end of January. So
do you kind of do it the modern way, where maybe in another 8 weeks you'll think, okay, time to drop another tune, or?
It's another model other other people are doing. I don't really like dropping singles like that because you need to really have funding behind it for it to be successful. But I might do that, and I might do some features with other people too. I'm not positive yet, but that might be where I kind of do fillers instead of. I love the album because for me, and even with Everyone I Know Will Die, like the point is to listen in order. There's a clear message on all 7 songs. I hope they stand strong on their own, but if you really listen to it in order, you understand the story of what I want you to experience.
That's why I got to tell you, I dig hearing you say that because I'm an old school guy too. I mean, I still, if I have a choice, I prefer physical CDs just because I love to have something, to hold in my hand or read the liner notes. And I think kids today are missing that experience. I mean, I miss the experience. I live in Los Angeles, and still, there's not a record mile within miles of my house. I mean, if I want to get anything these days, I got to get it over the internet. I miss those days of going to a record store. It's just people don't know what they're missing.
I do too. I didn't get to experience the record store. I got to experience CDs, and I'm trying not to be the old guy in the industry. Like I'm trying to really move with the times, but I do feel that there is a little bit of you can get everything instantly now, and then as soon as you digest it, it's gone. And I don't like that. There's no longevity in anything, and everything is so like that, and that's it, and then it's done. So I'm still trying to make pieces of art that will stand around even if it doesn't have a viral moment.
I like that kind of thought too because you're so right. I mean, so often. I mean, a lot of new people release stuff. Now like new music gets released every Friday, and then like you said, it's hot for the day. It gets out, it's released, and then by the next week something else is out, and people have already forgotten about it. But I dig the fact, like you said. No, if I'm going to release something, I'm going to release the whole album because I want people to get the whole package. In fact, I can tell you, the only real complaint I had with your album was the fact that 7 great tracks, but I thought, man, I wish it could have had more. But, it's got a lot more than other people. Most people put out like a 3 or a 4 song EP, so 7 tracks, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was actually my first LP, like technically, because I think an EP is 5 or less.
Yeah.
So it was definitely my first attempt at it. I want to do it again and have more songs. Like I said, last year was just so difficult to actually even get these that I was like, all right, I'm happy that I even have this amount of songs. Yeah. And, I'm definitely going to have more music coming out. And my goal's 10. My goal's 10.
But I will say this, that's a good goal to have. But, you delivered the goods on here because the thing is, there's not one kind of filler track. Everything just all those songs belong together, and it's a nice. You're giving the fans a nice package, and there's not one track where you're even gonna hit the shuffle to go on to the next track. They're all great tunes.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that, and that's what I wanted. I wanted it to be a tight, quick package so that when they're done, the 7 songs, they want to listen to it again. Because, like I said, I'm trying to, stay with the modern world, and I don't want to necessarily release a single every month.
Yeah.
I think I can get someone to listen for 20 minutes.
I think so.
10 songs now, 30 minutes.
Yeah, I think so. And, talking a little bit about the power of internet, I mean, you must get people, sending you messages every day and finding out, there's parts of the world where you haven't even stepped foot in and people are checking out your songs.
Yeah, it's incredible, especially with it's amazing. People take it for granted, but like I have people who listen to this music all over the country and all over the world, and it's very crazy to see those numbers. Time to Go is doing pretty good in the UK right now, and the fact that is possible with me just living in central Pennsylvania is insane. But I think it's a really good time if someone's trying to become an artist, because you don't need to be in the major cities right now because no one's there and everybody is just online. Now, I think it's very hard to balance having a physical life and having the digital life, and that's something that I think that's going to be a huge issue in the next 5 to 10 years of this whole metaverse and physical world, because it's been happening, but I think we're at a tipping point of are we going to go really digital or not? And I will sell all my music and buy a house in the middle of nowhere before I just live completely digitally.
Although, yeah, I think you're well on your way. I mean, I was checking out your Facebook page today, and I was checking out some of the photos, and there was a Spotify photo said that you hit 1 million streams or something. So that's quite an accomplishment. Somebody's listening.
Yeah, my numbers have been really good. I have a really good team behind me with NC Records and my manager Pat Magnorella and Steve Massey. They're all fantastic people, and they push my record as hard as I think it's deserved.
Yeah, well, I want to, before we wrap this up, give a huge shout out to Mike from Earshot Media for helping set up the interview. He's super cool for doing that.
Mike is the man.
And I'd like to thank you once again, Jacob, for taking time to talk to me. And hopefully you had a good time. I enjoyed getting to know you and chatting with you. So hopefully we can do it again down the line. And I'm planning to post an interview probably in the next 2 weeks. I will let you know once I have a concrete date. And if you'd like to post it on any of your sites for people to check out, please feel free to do so.
Absolutely. Send me cut downs and whatever, and I'll be glad to post it and share this. I had a great conversation with you, and like I said, Mike's the man, and this is a great conversation, and I would gladly be on the show again, so I appreciate it, and I appreciate you.
Yeah, well, I will tell you, anytime you, next time you drop a single or anything, we more than willing to talk to you, so take care, my friend.
Awesome. Thank you so much, man. Have a great night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.